Jesus.
Critical EDH. Feed the beast. I'm Eric, and I'm here with...
I'm Logan.
And we're just having a good time. We're here to keep tabs on cEDH.
Yep. And man, what a couple of weekends I've had. I know you had a little bit of a weekend off.
I think both of us are pretty exhausted
for different reasons.
For very different reasons. Yeah. It's you were top in the charts, and I was sanding walls from top to bottom. So
yeah, that's pretty rough. Hard labor or whatever game 3 was.
Dude, it was so awesome kind of getting to follow along, and I know we'll talk about it a little bit more in the episode, but yeah. I mean, it's the Nick and the crew put in a lot of work to make this happen.
And we're talking about Cradles of the Guild.
Cradles of the Guild, yeah.
In Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, AZ. Yep. And it just looked like everyone was having tons of fun.
It was a blast. We'll talk about it later. Mm-hmm. Anyway, for now, let me switch up our little
switch it up
here. What's coming up?
Coming up, Mortal Kombat. Time's running out for you to sign up and for us to put it together.
No, we've got it mostly put together.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about because we've got this huge to-do list, and we've got like a Discord chat with a ton of people that we're all putting together, and we're running out of things that we need to do before it's ready. We're ready to bring it to the people.
I think we need one more visit down to the venue, just to kind of get everything kind of tied up and stuff. But it's also just an excuse to eat. They're really good food.
Yeah, I want pretzel bites. That's the dog I wanted me.
Yeah, right.
I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be really, really good to have a big tournament like this on home turf. I was talking to Snowball, who's traveling in. I know we've got a couple other people who are going to be coming in. And
dude, unexpected guests like Snowball now. Like we don't only have Gold Sabertooth as an artist and playmat vendor and making the playmat for this. Snowball is coming as well, which is super cool. We got to meet him at LandGo.
Yeah, really cool guy.
And he's going to be bringing some really awesome tokens, or at least we're helping him print these tokens. We're turning these images from the commanders that you see here into little like player card tokens.
That's so cool.
And they're gonna come out really good. So
I think these are so awesome. Like, I've never wanted to play Malcolm more than like seeing that one in the top left. It's so cool.
I just kind of like the idea of like maybe just using Malcolm as like a treasure token trigger or something like that, like a smothering tithe trigger. And he's cool. He's not a smothering tithe, but he makes treasures. So like,
yeah, I'm just really excited about it. We've got decent signups. There's still some spots, but only so many. So if you're interested and you want to go, sign up.
I have a feeling that it's going to start to fill up really fast. cEDH players are notorious about signing up to things late, and from what I've heard at Cradles of the Guild, and there's all these pockets of people from these different areas. So like I know some of the SoCal people are like, oh, we got a crew together of like 10 people that are coming, and I'm like, 2 of you are signed up. Like, yeah, we'll sign up eventually. Yeah. So don't be one of those people where this whole pocket of people start signing up, and then you're like, whoa, there's no spots left.
Yeah, if you and a crew of players from Manhattan are trying to play, any Manhattan really,
yeah, whether it's Kansas or what we call actual Manhattan.
No, I am so excited to get to meet and see players from all over. I think I've really enjoyed tournaments of about this size in the past. I think it's great because you get to see and play like a little bit of everything, but it's not too overwhelming. Yeah, and yeah, it's going to be. I already like. I can like feel it's gonna be a good event.
I don't mind the big 2-day events, but I like a really clean 5-round 1-day event. I think it just feels nice, and it gives me like the mental capacity to do other things. Whether it's the night before, if you're playing at our like local gold event for $10, I mean that's gonna be really cool too to go up to level 7 and do that. The other thing is we're running out of time for championship points.
Oh yeah.
So like, if you need championship points and you need to be in that top 64 for the Invitational. These are 2 back-to-back events. We've got the one Saturday night that's just a $10 buy-in, and at minimum it'll be silver, likely gold with the amount of people coming here. And then this event, which is at minimum gold, probably platinum.
It's usually a silver event with just like the Denver local showing up. So like as soon as like one person flies in from out of town, boom, gold event on Saturday night.
It hasn't not been silver for like 3 months
in a while. And so this will also unless 128 people drop out day of, it'll more than likely be a platinum event. So if whether you're trying to crack the top 100 or if you're in like the 60s or 70s and there's only like 10 points separating you and other people, this is a really, really good time to lock down an extra 50 100 points,
or even more. Like I got 10th at Cradle of the Guild, and that was a platinum, and I got 200 points.
Heck,
that's a ton. That's a lot. That's a lot of points.
This is a really, really good time of the year to feel secure in your spot on the championship ladder.
Anyway, we're very excited about our event. We hope you are too. If you're already signed up and coming, please coordinate with us in our Discord, because we want to hang out with everyone. We want to see everyone there.
Oh yeah.
So we'll figure it out. And moving on.
Whoa! That was not on camera, but Logan's cat, who is giving off Boros energy because he's orange and white, just leapt all the way up on the shelf. And I realize this is not interesting to you guys because you couldn't see it, but it was really impressive to us.
Speaking of things that are really impressive to us, we're finishing up our May League. And our Discord league for May, we had 81 players sign up. We just cut the top 13. Everyone's scheduling their games for that league, for the end of that league. And we just started our June league.
Heck yeah.
We're 2 days in, and we have 64 people signed up.
Dude, it's such a fun league to play in. I was just talking with Logan. I'm actually moving the weekend of Mortal Kombat. So even though I'm still going to be able to play at our local game store, I'm also looking for ways to play that don't require like a 30-minute drive. And so as I'm trying to find more places to play online, but want to make sure that I still get really, really high quality games, I think our league has been a really, really great place to find that. Shout out to all the people I've played with, some really high caliber people. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, but either way, having a good time.
And we were just talking earlier about some really good players that don't really get a chance to play online they don't get a chance to play in person very much. They mostly play online. But I think we both found that online games kind of have like a mixed quality to them.
Yeah. I think if you are just playing random lobbies in Spell Table,
or even like or certain Discords that are just like open play.
It's easy to be, I think, like if you're really, really dedicated to growing as a cEDH player, you can kind of end up being a big fish in a little pond. And so nothing makes you feel like a small fish in a big pond than playing against Jason. So
that's true.
But also I think it's like a great crew of people. I think like Spooky, Church, all sorts of people. Sky is super awesome. Just some really, really high quality players that I think consistently challenge me to play better. And so thankful to all the people who are in the league, and excited for anyone who's interested in joining and thinking about doing it. The easiest way to do it is by joining our Patreon at the $5 tier. You also can do it through Discord, but it is the Dean Discord.
It is $1 more expensive.
Yeah. And we don't see that dollar, so save your money, spend it on something else.
Yeah. And you'll get early access to content and stuff like that. One other cool thing we're doing this month, we talked about it before, we're partnering with Gold Sabertooth's Discord. So all of his patrons, if you're a patron there, you get entry to this month's league for free. He's doing the prizing and sponsoring the prizing for this month, which is really cool. We're sponsoring like the top 4 prizing and stuff like that. We're still going to do t-shirts or something cool. But if you win, you get a commission from Gold Sabertooth, which is... I know how much that costs, and it's not a little bit. It's a lot.
I want it. I think I want it more than top deck points.
So if you want the opportunity to get that for relatively free, that's the way to do it. And I think our plan overall is we're not going to partner with the same Discord every single month. We're going to try to reach out to other communities, try to start building relationships there, and have some cool just leagues and events.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone who's helped make it happen, and hopefully we can keep it going strong.
Yep. Cool. Speaking of going strong, we have another 1K with our local store here in Littleton at Enchanted Grounds. This is going to be like 2 weeks after Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, so if you're flying in and you don't have anything to do for 2 weeks.
No. What the move is, okay, you fly here for Mortal Kombat, and then you play and win Mortal Kombat, and then you take your winnings and you go, where can I go from Denver? Oh, we can go direct to Hawaii. And you go to Hawaii for 2 weeks, you vacation, whatever.
Yeah.
You see Mr. Hayes, the Italian player there. And then you come back here and you're like, oh, there's a 1K on my way out.
Yeah, just catch it on the return flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you think you've got what it takes to win Mortal Kombat, go ahead and sign up for this one.
But yeah, we're excited to have these smaller 1Ks. It's a really good gathering of our locals. And if you're around, I know there's like a lot of people in the Greeley and Fort Collins area and Colorado Springs too.
Yeah, shout out to the Fort Collins players. They will, because we were talking to a group of them who drove all the way down to the Springs, which is a long drive, which I just think is a great indication of like cEDH. And we can talk about it online and the aspects of cEDH, where we're still kind of growing into who we want to be as a format and in ways that we want to move either from immaturity into maturity or from toxic into healthy. But I think for me, the fact that players are willing to drive like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours for a tournament is a great indication that cEDH really has something special to offer that people want to be a part of.
Yep. Or if you're looking at your calendar on a Wednesday night and like, dang, I really want to go to Phoenix. And it's like 2 days where you have to decide. Like it's like 12 hours or 24 hours, and you're like, I need to make a flight. Yeah, I mean, I just these events are so much fun. It doesn't matter how big, how small, but just participating in locals is really good. So
yeah.
Anyway, all that said, we hope you come and join us at these events. And then I think we can just kind of roll right into it.
Jumping into Cradle to the Guild.
I felt like I wasn't supposed to be there like all weekend.
I was in the middle of an ad nos line on Wednesday when you just walk up and you're like, hey guys, I think I'm going to Arizona this weekend.
What's even worse is I felt like absolute ass Thursday morning. I felt like I was getting sick again. I woke up like coughing and just really not feeling well. And this is after we had already made plans and stuff. And so I kind of told work, I was like, hey, I'm going to work from home, at least, just kind of chill out and trying to recuperate. And then like 3 o'clock hit and I was like, oh man, I feel great. Like I feel better than I did Wednesday. I don't know.
Let's go.
I don't know what came over me. And then I was like, okay, well now I got to like actually pack and prep and, so Emily and I went. Unfortunately, Eric and the rest of the guys weren't able to go, but we both played wrong side.
Heck yeah!
And I think we both we were talking all weekend. Like the deck just feels really, really good.
I think it is such a good time in cEDH right now to be able to either like be really, really aggressively pushing turn 1, turn 2, or to be able to comfortably sit back and just chill and vibe out on turn like 3, 4, and 5, depending on like what the pod requires. And I feel like being in the Grixis shell lets you do that, as well as like Rogrok gives you access to like such early mana, but also you're on like so many different like copy enchantment or mirror made effects that you also can play late as well. I think it's just a really versatile, good place to be.
Olive's here. She's right next to Eric. You can kind of barely see her.
There's so many of the Doan's pets. Look. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're camera shy?
Anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the deck feels like really low to the ground, really clean. It plays a lot of control. It's got good draw engines. It can win super fast, just kind of out of nowhere. So it kind of, I feel like it's not presenting any one particular thing to the opponent. And so while I can say I'm not on Nas, I'm not on Necro, it doesn't really mean I can win any slower. Like I still win pretty quickly. And they have to watch out for that. So
like you still have like a ton of universal tutors. You still have a really strong mana base. And I think that's a really good place to be in CDH right now. I think that Turbo continues to become a bigger and bigger part of the tournament scene with each passing weekend. But I think that you still, if you want to be consistent and you want to be able to find a place to kind of like have a window for a win in every single pod, you still have to be able to grind out that mid range, or else you run the risk of someone just holding on to one or two counter spells more than you're expecting, and you're just out of the game forever. And that can feel really bad.
Yeah, and just going over a little bit about the tournament itself, we had over 130 players. It was like 133 or something like that. She just doesn't know what to do with herself, does she?
Welcome back. Do you guys want to say hi to Olive? Olive.
We had over 130 players, and they elected to do 6 rounds of Swiss, which is pretty rough to do in one day.
That's a lot of Swiss.
As soon as I heard that, I was like, what the hell are you doing? There's no way. 5 is like pushing the limit, right? And then 5 is the recommended amount for 128 players. So the fact that we're only like 4 or 5 players over that, adding another round isn't really adding a whole lot, because that round is likely to draw a lot of games and stuff like that. So it worked out okay, but my top 16 didn't start until after 9:30.
Oh, wow.
And then that game ran 3.5 hours.
Oh.
So we're looking at like almost 1 o'clock by that time. And then top 4, happens directly after that, or as close after that as we can. And my game ended and Evan's game was still going. So
Holy
it's kind of like, yeah, it's a late night.
Yeah, it's that's a late night. I think it's I love Magic. I love CEDH. In my mind, I'm always like, I want to play as much CEDH as humanly possible. But then like 10 p.m. rolls around and I'm like, get me out of here.
It doesn't matter how locked in you are. You're going to be tired.
Yeah.
It is an endurance test. It is, if you want to compete at the highest levels, you have to be ready to play those long days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that like tournament endurance is super duper real. And I am still like consistently surprised at myself and impressed by other players I know, like Pigeon, Wounded Satellite, Jason. I think you're also pretty good at this as well, of who like are still as attentive 2.5 hours in as they are like 2.5 minutes in. Because it's really easy when you're like still at the beginning of a game to be like, I wonder what they're tutoring for. But after you're on your like 3rd bathroom break, like you like I can't remember what happened this game versus like 2 games ago.
You have to pick your moments for being attentive, and like at some point you realize like, oh, that's not something I need to pay attention to or give any brain power to, and then you go, okay, I'm just worried about the next thing, or just waiting for something to happen. One thing I tried to do in this tournament was, first of all, tournament was at Gamers Guild AZ at their, what I believe to be their new location in Northern Phoenix.
It seemed like an awesome venue.
It was really, really cool. We took about half of the play space up, just the CEDH tournament. And then there were some players playing like either casual or pickup CEDH kind of between us. And then the other side was all like wargaming tables. And the whole thing was packed. Phoenix, it was like 104 that day.
I've been chosen. Sorry, keep going. I don't know. This
Dude, what is going on today?
We've never had your pets hang out with us this much. Sorry, I'm also awash with the ecstasy of being chosen by a cat. And I'm just enjoying this as much as you were enjoying playing in Gamers Guild.
So it was like 104 degrees in Phoenix that day on Saturday, and I looked at their air conditioning setup and they had it set to 68, and it was like 76 in the venue. I was like, that AC is like cranking, like it's really trying hard. But overall it was good. And so the one thing I was trying to do in between each round is just like go use the restroom, alleviate myself of bodily needs, whether it's like eat some food or whatever. The cool thing was they had QR codes at every single table, and you could just scan with your phone, and then it pulls up a menu and you just pay, and they bring food or drink to your table.
That's awesome.
And they had these sort of like table risers that were between each set of tables, and they would just bring in like set food on those.
Oh, so nice.
And it wouldn't spill. Like I didn't see any people like knocking drinks over or anything like that. Which
That's
is really,
so
really
awesome.
cool.
I feel like that I wouldn't be surprised if that's a huge part of like why the vibes were so good at the tournament, is I feel like half the time when things start to turn sour is when you have like 128 people who haven't eaten in like 4 hours.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing we're trying to fix with our event as well, with being at Dave and Buster's, just having the ability to eat something or socialize or just take your mind off of whatever you're doing, kind of give your brain a rest and resume like normal bodily function.
Yeah, like especially at like this level, like you have to start asking the questions that like athletes do when they're trying to like perform in these like day-long meets of like, how do I make sure that I am performing at peak capacity the whole time, that I'm like eating well, drinking well, and as focused as I can be. And so I don't know, hopefully we can do that at Dave and Buster's.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if me and a few other people are at least 1 or 2 beers in by the end of the day.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say about the tournament is that the tournament was fucking stacked with good players.
Yeah.
I mean, just to name a few from this screen, here's me in 10th. And then Duke Vitro, I met him at Fishbowl, of course, playing Tevish Thras. He's kind of the Tevish Thras guy.
Oh, heck yeah.
Zach Adler, we interviewed him at Fishbowl.
Oh, heck yeah.
He was playing Kinnan at the time. Now he's playing Blue Farm, so he got 7th.
Oh, that's awesome.
Max
Zach.
Sternberg, Wounded Satellite, is here at 5th. And then Z, or Zizimos, I met him at the Heisenberg, and he was playing Kinnan. He also did really well. He got 4th. Tim Gold Sabertooth got 3rd. I convinced him the night before. I said, just put Ishai down and play Yoshimaru. It's better. And he's like, okay. And then we tuned the deck a little bit and stuff, and put Ether Channeler in. And like he's like, oh, that was an all-star card. But anyway, he got 3rd.
That's awesome.
Evan Freedom Waffle Pierce got 2nd.
Way to go.
And Grant, who, I don't know why he's a 2-2 bird, ended up winning.
That's a really fun name. That's so cool.
And then there's tons of other notables.
Holden Pryo, way to go.
Yep.
I didn't know he was a RAL player. That's so cool.
Well, before I get down to Holden Pryo, we've got Nick. We've also interviewed him. He was not playing Magda. He was playing Rog Thras. Interesting. Holden Pryo, we've been on the channel as well. He was playing Rawl. I was like not discouraged, but 2 rounds in, I chatted with him. I was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" He goes, "I'm 2-0." And I'm like, "Fuck, I'm like 101. I'm not doing as well as you. I need to like step it up." Unfortunately, he didn't make top 16.
Oh, dude, is that JJ?
JJ from
JJ.
JJ
yeah,
and
brother.
Adriel from Cardboard Cookbook were there. We just had a video with them out. But long story short, we have to mention Papa Squats. Unfortunately, he didn't do that well. And then Adam from Mind Over Meta is there.
Dude, Papa Squats walked so that like we could run.
Boros Wayne was there.
Oh, heck yeah.
So
Dude.
like, anyway, we're making all these connections with these people. We're making good friends, and it's just so awesome to see them at these big events. Especially every time you go to an event, you're like, I wonder who's going to be here. And then it's just like a different collection of people that you've met before.
Yeah.
And they're all just happy to see you.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like it's the it's like it reminds me so much of like a regular LGS night, but just like bigger. Like, you know, whenever we show up at Enchanted Grounds, the local store we play at, you know, there's like if there's like 30 people total that could potentially come on Wednesday nights, there's this like rotating like 16 to 20 person group, and it's always different every time. I feel like tournaments are kind of the same way. It's so fun. And
I think it would be hard for us to attend a tournament now at this point and not know anyone.
yeah,
I maybe like East Coast, like somewhere up in Buffalo, we probably wouldn't know anyone, but you know, who knows, maybe Tim's there.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's just cool. And traveling to these big tournaments and like establishing yourself in the tournament scene is it's really fun. It's
super cool.
And it's a shame too, because there's a lot of negative press about cEDH right now. But I don't really have anything bad to say about this tournament or the vibes or the games I had, even with some of the tough players and the tough games. And I'm sure we'll talk about it here in a minute. But aside from like maybe playing 6 rounds instead of 5 and just like pushing the day a little bit longer. But hey, that's another game of Magic I got to play.
Yeah, there's definitely worse things you can do in a Magic tournament than play Magic.
Exactly.
No, I agree. I think... and we talk about this all the time as players, as content creators, as TOs. There's always ways that we can improve, and I extend that to the format that we're in. cEDH is still relatively young, and it has a lot of ways that we as a format are still kind of maturing into what will be like our final form as it is. But I think there are so many positives to being in this community that still in many ways is in its infancy, but also is growing quickly and rapidly, and is on the frontier of a lot of really fun and exciting things. And so I am grateful both that we're able to, both you and me as individuals, but also the critical EDH community, have these conversations that we can all together take a step forward and continue to grow and improve, but also we can just keep having fun.
I love having these conversations about like how we can improve the format, what we can change, and how we can forward and further just advance our the cEDH and our format and make it more real or legitimate and things like that. But when you go to these events, all that kind of like disappears.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't. Yeah, here's the rule set. Fine, whatever. We're playing Magic, but I'm here with friends. I'm here with people that I want to meet, or people that are coming up and saying, "Wow, we're such big fans of your content. Like, it's so nice to meet you in person and get to chat with them about like what deck they're playing." And they talk about learning stuff from Jason and coaching videos. And I'm like,
oh yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, exactly. You and me both. And just stuff like that. I mean, it all that kind of fades away, and that's what's really disappointing to me about the whole internet conversation is, it's a place where we can voice our opinions and stuff like that, but I don't think we're having those conversations when we're at the event. There's like no time.
There's just,
you win, you lose, you draw, you move on to the next round, and you're like, the whole thing is a blur by the end of the night. You're like, holy shit, I've been playing for 16 hours.
Yeah. I find that the dialogue online about cEDH is often very disparate or different from the actual cEDH experience that I have, which is not to say that I have a universally positive time. Like I have had some really, really low moments at tournaments. I've been in games that there's been specific aspects of them that either rubbed me the wrong way or just like stuck with me and kind of like grinded my gears. But overall, I think that like I am so grateful to the cEDH community and tournament organizers and judges and even players who have like, absolutely like kicked me to the curb and been, maybe not the best sports about it. Like that happens, and that's part of being in the scene. And I think I am that much more grateful for the players who have either like mentored me or the judges who have like, I've been able to talk to after the game. And I'll be like, look, I really just don't understand that call. Do you mind taking an extra minute just so that I understand? Or TOs, like for instance, again, to talk to Hire after Fishbowl, and his number one thing, he was talking about this was with Max P on the Win It In podcast recently, actually, is he's like, it's all about the player experience. And to be a part of a community where some of the people with power TOs are so invested in me having a good experience is not something I can say about a lot of hobbies.
It was very clear from the start that the TO and the promoter, in this case it was Papa Squats, they're both very invested in the player experience. And that's not to say that I'm sure there are players that did not have a good time at some point or maybe the entire tournament.
Yeah.
Who knows? They can't control for all of those players and everyone's experience. They can try to smooth it out, say like, is there anything we can do for you? Sorry you had a bad game. Sorry you had a bad 5 games in a row. Like, but not everyone can have a good time. But if 99% of the people are having a good time, like what are we really complaining about on the internet?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. I think we kind of had this conversation with Wayne after Land Go. I imagine a probably similar conversation.
Wayne's the TO of Land Go.
Wayne was the TO of Land Go. I imagine a pretty similar conversation happened after Cradles of the Guild, and we will undoubtedly have a similar conversation after Mortal Kombat of like what went well and what can we do better next time?
It's always looking forward and well, first of all, reflecting on what happened, what can we fix, what can we make better, what worked well, and then looking forward to the next event and going, how can we make it even better than the last one? All that said, luckily, Freedom Waffle posted his pictures today, so I thought we would share some of those photos.
That's such a good photo.
This is Papa Squats. If you don't know him, he was wearing a dwarf jersey. It was very strange. So he was playing Glarb in the tournament, and he was using a Rogsai mat up until he got this mat. He got a 1-of-1 artist proof from Gold Saber Tooth. I think it was foil.
Let's go.
So like it looks sick. But he got just as a thanks for promoting the event and stuff like that. So he was playing Glarb, but he was using a Rogsai mat. I played Rogsai and I was using a Glarb mat just by chance. So that was kind of a neat coincidence. But Nick did such a good job all the way up promoting this event and putting butts in seats and getting the hype up for what was, rightfully deserved a lot of hype. It was really, really good. And right behind him, you see Forks and Boards. That's the sort of cafe and like bar area. Ooh. So you could walk in there and like take a break from the magic space and sit down in a booth and have some food and stuff like that.
Sometimes a little fresh air makes a whole world of difference.
Yep. This is
what's up, Jem? Heck yeah.
I think Jem is the best way to call him.
It was this guy had the best energy at Heisenberg. I walked away. We were able to do a short video interview with him that was clipped in with some other footage we took from the Heisenberg. But this was just the nicest, highest energy. I think he has a volcanic island that's ripped in half because didn't he do flip it or rip it? And then he ripped I think it's a volcanic island.
He was high energy the entire time, and then he would occasionally stop at my table and kind of look at my board and shake his head, which was really funny. But he did such a good job of corralling the players, keeping morale high, which is something I don't think a lot of TOs do. Is encourage the players. I know they're all competing against each other, but encourage them to say look, we don't have a lot of time for this top 16 game. We all need to come together and play in a reasonable manner, and because I want to go home, that sort of thing. But also just encouraging everyone to have a good time and just say, if you have a bad game, keep your spirits up. There's always the next game, and stuff like that. So thanks, Jem, for putting on a really good event. This is Nick. I'm sure you've seen Nick on our channel. It's always good to see him at these events. He wasn't playing Magda, he was playing Rogthras, and it's always very funny because I don't know if he travels with anyone. He just kind of shows up. And I'm like, oh shit, it's Nick. Hey,
whoa, good to see you, bro. I had no idea.
I don't know what his locale is. I think it's Arizona.
Is it?
I don't know, but I've seen him at Fishbowl. I've seen him all kinds of places.
He is a turn, saying hi and chatting to him is now a tournament staple experience to me. It's not.
I'm actively disappointed if I don't see him at a tournament. So hopefully he comes to ours. Boros Wayne playing Zerta, and you can see most people are either looking happy or they're in the game.
Oh heck yeah!
And then Holden Pryo, our friend Ben, playing Rao. This was the stream room setup for.
Looks so cool.
Yeah, they had a fuzzy wall. So you ever see Get Him to the Greek and they just tell him to touch the fuzzy wall? They had a plant covered wall.
Bro, you don't even need to leave the game to go touch grass. That's awesome.
Yeah, this was the Mind Over Meta guys. They were doing the streaming setup and came out really well. And the stream room was nice because it had its own air conditioning and stuff. That was really cool.
That's awesome.
Emily was playing Rogsai. So that's her. I think that's her first official Freedom Waffle picture.
That's awesome.
And then someone from our Discord, Joopy.
What's up, Joopy?
Also known as Blake. He introduced himself to me, and that was really cool. I was like, oh my god, you're him. I see you around our Discord all the time.
Man, what do you think he's talking about in this? What's he's like, are you really going to counter this wrist stick? That's
here's the top 16 photo. I mean, you can pick out a bunch of killers here. Not me. Here's me. This is Jacob, Bad Dog, Evan, Freedom Waffle. There's Duke. The guy next to him is Jesse. There's Z. I don't know who that guy in the back is. I probably could tell you if I looked really closely. Then there's Grant. Max and Suki's over there somewhere. The judge is the only person not smiling in this photo, and I think it's hilarious.
Everyone looks so happy.
He has had such a long day. The judge is just like, dude, like, take me out.
He's like, I swear, if one more person asks me about the stack.
And of course, we got Tim.
I'm always so jealous of his rings.
Oh, and Zach. Here's Zach.
Oh, what's up?
So yeah, it was a total blast, and we had so much fun. And then here's our top 4.
Oh, nice.
They had special mats, special editions for
that's incredible.
Top 4. They were red. Top 16 was yellow, and then the champ mat was blue.
Oh, and he even says champ on there, man. What a good looking group of guys.
This is my favorite photo for the weekend. So I want to tell a quick story about this game.
Oh my god, you guys are making the same face.
Yeah. Him?
Making the same face.
So I want to tell a quick story about this game. This is round 3. So I won my first round. I drew my second round. I walk over, kind of meander over to the table, and the pod, I kid you not, is literally me in first seat, Jacob or Bad Dog in second seat, Tim Gold Sabertooth in third seat,
this was
and
game.
Evan Freedom Waffle in fourth seat. And I just took a picture of all of us. I was like, this is awful. This is gonna be like, we're committing. This is not gonna be good, right? So it was just like, you put 4 people on the pod that are in the top 100 players, and first of all, the 3 of them are in the top like 20. I'm top 100, so I'm good, but like I'm not quite on their level. You know, I don't have quite the experience they do. They've been playing a lot longer than me and that stuff. But then I have the pressure of like being first seat. Yeah. And I'm like, oh god,
dude, the heat is on.
It was a really, really well fought game. We had all commented that like after the game, I ended up winning, by the way. So the first thing I did was we all took a photo. We all took a photo, and I was like, man, this is pod 5 is a total disaster. And then I said, like after I won, I said, I now feel bad about tweeting about this, but like I won. And because I said like free win, by the way. Which is like, it was totally tongue in cheek. I was like, there's no way I'm winning this.
That's like the least free win of your life.
Exactly. I ended up going down to 2 and then untapped. I had a vamp tutor in my hand and said, fuck, I don't know how to win. And then managed to put it together, cast a defense grid. It got countered. I presume there was no more interaction. Tim had a Machine God's effigy that was a Bowmaster.
Whoa.
That was a copy of my Bowmaster that didn't exist anymore. And it was just threatening, like, if anyone draws a card, I'm shooting Logan in the face and he's dying. And then so I just started jamming like raw breach into his Mystic Remora. And he, after every spell, I'm like looking, and he's like showing, and he's like, it's a land, it's a you know, nothing important. And then you know, I eventually got there. But everyone played really well. I think these games are intense, and I will say that the game was intense, and I think anyone in that pod would say the same thing, because none of us want to lose. We're all there to win. We all know it, right? I think navigating these situations is incredibly hard. It puts a lot of pressure on you as a player, and I can see how a less experienced player could come away from that game saying, I had a bad time.
Yeah.
I didn't have a bad time. But we also kind of said at the end of the game, like, oh, we didn't get picked to go to the stream room and be on the but we're all like, man, some of the things that we said to each other, or like the way we said it, because I think at that point, like when you're at that high level, you're starting to speak a different language. Even though you say one thing, you kind of really mean another.
Yeah.
And you start communicating in ways that don't make sense to other players. But the other players in the pod know what you're saying. Yeah. Because you can't really say what you mean all the time.
Very much so. I think that like I think an entry level way that most cEDH players will have experienced is, let's say, you know, me and you are part of a 3v1, and the player over there is casting an Underworld Breach, and you say, Eric, do you have anything? And I'll say, I don't have anything for the Underworld Breach, but I can back you up.
Yeah,
right.
That's a really common thing to say.
That's a really common thing, and I'm attempting to say a lot of things implicitly while only explicitly saying a few things. I think that just, as the further you go up the chain, the more players will abstract in their communication in order to avoid giving this player any information while giving you just enough so that I'm not giving away all my cards, but you know when you're supposed to interact and when I'm supposed to interact, so that we're both in the game a turn later.
Yep. And a good example of this is me saying, I don't have anything. Like, Evan, I need you to show me what you have. And he's like, I'm not showing you my hand. And me just asking the question, I know he's going to say, I'm not showing you shit, right? Because he only has like 3 cards in hand. Yeah. And obviously they're important at that point. So like, I already know he's going to say that I'm not showing you anything. But the way that he says it can tell me everything that I need to know. And it's not that him or I are lying to each other or being like, we're just communicating on a level that's not what you would see in like a casual game.
Yeah. And I think that's like part of what I really, really enjoy about the format. It definitely led to, I don't know if I've talked about this much in episodes, but the first 2 times I was in a top 4 pod, I felt like a fish out of water in like the worst possible way. I had this feeling that like it felt like my first day of school. Like people were talking to each other, and I know I'm supposed to understand the words that they're saying, but whoosh, everything's going over my head.
You understand the words, but you understand the meaning.
And I'm trying to make deals, and I'm like fumbling over myself because I can just tell that like people are talking in a way that is different than the last few games that I played. And I think I was really, really grateful for the opportunity to after the game be able to talk with those players. And be like, what was going on there? And they're like, oh, you know, me and this player have played against each other so much that when they said, I don't have any interaction for this, I know that they do have interaction, but they're saving it for their own win attempt. And they aren't like the other players far enough down the line, or all those little kind of like micro interactions that I now feel privileged enough to have either been able to play or watch these games enough to feel more at home in those spaces. But I definitely feel for players who either it's their first time in Top Cut, or it's their first time in a tournament and they're accidentally against like multiple players who are like pretty seasoned veterans of the format. I can very, very much see, just like you said, how they can walk away from that with a less than stellar experience in that pod.
Or they feel like they're lied to. I think that's one of the common things that happens is you have to be careful about how your opponent answers things, and don't imply meaning to what they say. And then you go, well, you said this, and they're like, no, that's not what I said. And then you get butthurt because you feel like, oh, well, you lied to me.
Yeah. Like, so for instance, I think a great example was in one of the games that we were commentating over at the Land Go, someone made a deal that if you don't target any of my stuff, and so they shook hands on it, and then later on they cast an
overloaded
psych riff. They ain't targeting shit.
Doesn't target. Yeah.
And so I think that's a great example of oftentimes people walk away, well, that wasn't like the spirit of the deal. And this idea that if you are kind of using one word that could have been any word, but you're using the one word specifically that you use to kind of like sneak through,
that's a little different. I do see your point though. I think, like, for example, when the Kalia player is like, I'm like, hey, what are you tutoring for? And he's like, and I'm like, that kind of tells me all I need to know, right? Like, maybe I should enter the tutor, or maybe I should interact, or it's just, it's very political. There's a lot of gray area. Players are not required to answer those questions. They're not required to even tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And if you press them on it, sometimes I'm just asking questions just to see what they have to say.
Yeah.
And maybe I've already made up my mind on what I'm doing. And like, if I can extract any little bit of information or get you to show like a little chink in your armor, and then I'm like, oh, okay.
And like, if me and you are like in a tournament and we're like sitting down across from each other, it does not matter if the round timer has started. We are like already playing like that.
Yeah.
Fishing for information and feeling out. And I love that. And that's tons of fun.
Yeah.
But I've also had months in multiple tournaments to kind of like condition myself to like kind of like ease into that. And so I also think that as we continue to have more people either want to play in tournaments or want to play cEDH, I think the more that we can kind of pull the veil back on that, because and let people know, and judges try to do this all the time. They're like, your opponents are not obligated to tell you the truth, and if you call me over because someone lied to you, I can't do anything. Like,
I'm going to tell you to change your diaper, but like, other than that, I can't really help you out.
And so I both want to like be honest about the fact that like if me and you are in a top 16 pod, I am going to try and obfuscate like the truth as much as possible. I will try to ride that line of what I'm tutoring for all the way to the finish line.
But that doesn't mean that you're a dirty player, though.
No,
you're not. And like, I don't think that I am either. But you have to be careful about what information you give out, how you give it out. And also sometimes you're trying to tell one player something that's like, hey, this is important, but you're also trying to frame it in a way where the other player that you're like, I can't tell you this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, you've shown him all your cards. Why won't you show them to me? Because you have an Underworld Breach on the stack. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And also I think another huge dynamic is like threat assessment changes so rapidly. Like I was talking with another player. Like if you cast an ad nause, you are the scariest player in the game, and then as soon as it's countered, I do not care about you for like a turn rotation. And that can be a very almost like violent social experience for players. And that I think very similar to that whole kind of like sometimes allowing people to mislead themselves can also be a huge like feels bad if in your mind you just showed up and you just want to play Magic and have a good time.
Yeah, even in that game, I'll just give a quick example. Jacob had played or put a Villas into play from his hand, like very early on. It was like turn 3 or something, and everyone's attention was on that. Like, yeah. And then I had an OBM, and I was able to kill Kalia, but couldn't deal with Villas with OBM because like it's it's an 8/8 or something,
yeah,
right?
It's huge, roughly this big.
So like we managed to bounce. I think I flared like a tutor, and then I was able to bounce Villas to his hand. He couldn't replay it. Gave him the tutor anyway. He tutored for something. He passed. Tim, I think, Machine God's my OBM. And, and then Tim became the sort of like target of ire from everyone because Evan had Kinnan and stuff. Kinnan died. And then Evan's like, well, I have the Seaboard Muse and the One Ring. And then everyone's attention shifted to that. And then I won on the next turn or whatever. Like, the attention shifts so quickly. But that game was so fun. And I wanted to thank all of those players for everyone playing very cleanly and just having a good game. Like, that was the highlight of my tournament.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. I think I love that like in pods like that, you and the other players are kind of able to, on the basis of your experience, give each other permission to go all out. And just use every tool in your toolkit, explore every option to try and find your window, and just play the best way you know how.
There was nothing but respect for each other's skill at the table, and I think I would feel this way even if I didn't win. I know I would. Even if I didn't win that game, I would walk away and be like, wow, that was just a good game of Magic. And like, I think that's what we're all chasing after.
Yeah. And I think at this point I'm comfortable and like secure enough in my identity as a cEDH player to like have a really fun game and feel like I played my best even if I like lose. When me and Jason were in a top 16 pod when I was on Kodama Ishai, it was the funniest thing in the world to me. me and him were fighting over a spell on the stack, and he was telling the player next to me, he's like, I'm not in white, I don't have access to silence. There's nothing I can do. And I was like, yeah, you got me. And then on his turn, he activates Mysterized Village and then casts an uncounterable Veil of Summer. And that, still without a doubt, is the funniest thing that has ever happened to me.
That's not a silence, but if you squint a lot, it looks like it.
He reached across the table and fist bumped me. Like, it was in that moment, I was like, you got me, bro.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a photo from that game. But if you look at the whole photo library from this, there's all kinds of photos. All of us are laughing and goofing off and stuff, but like, I don't know what happened when I made this face. So anyway, that was our experience, or my experience at Lango. Emily also had a really good time. She unfortunately didn't do quite as well. I didn't drop a game, but also didn't win a ton. So I went 2-0-4 in Swiss.
Oh, wow.
And
one of those.
Everyone's going to go, well, oh my God, draws are such a problem. And no, I'm the problem. The problem is that I was messing around a little bit. And to be honest, like, I felt like I shouldn't have been there. I kind of alluded to that earlier. It was like a last minute thing. And then I'm also locked for top deck points, and I'm like locked for the invitational. I was like, okay, I'll just play and see how I can like push the limits of the deck and stuff like that. And I put myself in a lot of really weird situations. One of them was like on camera. You can watch this. I pushed for a turn 3, just raw dog Thassa's Oracle decon win, and we ended up drawing the game for it.
Wow.
And like sometimes that happens. So
yeah.
Overall, it was really fun. So just keep that in mind. Not all. There's always a story behind a draw. It's not like an ID or I didn't ID any games. So, and then the only game I lost was in top 16 to Grant, and he won the tournament. So
yeah,
it's kind of like that was pretty good.
Yeah, if the only person you lost to is the one who won the tournament, not too shabby. Yeah. Not too shabby.
Anyway, that's Cradle of the Guild. I'm sure we'll have a tournament report or something up about it eventually. For now, let's move on to talking about some other Final Fantasy stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. They put the Hamburglar on a Magic card.
Why is this Dr. Amulet in 5 colors?
Yeah. The thing I love about this card is that the best part is at the top, and then it just gets worse as you go down.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it's a blue and a green makes him super duper easy to cast. The fact that lands you control enter untapped gives you like access to some really, really fun lines, and then basically the rest of the card just stops there. Like,
so you know how like you look at Kinnan and you look at him and you're like, God, this guy's such a dweeb. This guy might be more of a dweeb than Kinnan. Yeah. I don't know anything about Final Fantasy, so I'm sorry if I'm besmirching your favorite character.
I'm also like really sorry to the harp enjoyers out there, but like there's definitely cooler instruments to be playing. I mean, I think this kind of.
I think if someone called me like a minstrel, I'd definitely feel that's an insult.
Yeah, I'd be like, say that to my face.
Don't say that to me on Reddit. Say it to my face.
No, something I really liked about this is so far, 5-color commanders always get the community stirred up. It's also really cheap to cast, so it's got that kind of like Ezio energy going on. So far, it seems like the archetypes that people are going is it seems like the Oops All Spells crowd has moved from Essica over here. Because so many of your lands are really bad MDFCs.
Oh no, not that. So you're saying the MDFCs are? Oh my God.
Yeah,
the tapped MDFCs.
Yeah, they're like you're less punished for playing like Bogart Trawler.
No,
or like Bella Get Recovery. Because the reason why Essica was the commander was because she taps for mana. So that kind
of works better.
It does kind of work better. It works a lot better, actually. Another
also cheaper than Essica.
Another archetype that people are doing is kind of like Adnos builds, where you just shove a ton of lands and then a mana bond in, and so you just like push until you get your E zone. You cast your mana bond, go to end step, just put like 15-20 lands out. And it's essentially the same effect as casting like a ton of rocks, but you only
Is this just like another dude I just kill on sight?
Yeah, potentially. It might get there. I actually I took a different route. The one of the first things
is Lumra in the 99.
Yeah. Do you want to go to the next tab?
No.
So this is I actually was messaging Kyle from Tag C about this.
That's a good card.
That's a good card. This has
by Visual Spoiler, sure.
Visual Grid. This has Lumra and Corvold in the 99.
Why is he here?
It's just kind of like a grindy mid-range list. And the nice thing about it's not Amulet of Vigor, it's technically a spelunking effect. But Aftermath Analyst lines are super easy to pull off.
Both completely irrelevant. Got it.
And so I actually took some inspiration from your Glarb list with this. In the sense that like lands for the most part don't trigger heuristic study. So you can just
Why
kind
isn't
of
Glarb in the 99?
I thought about it because it has a little bit of a Reanimator package in there, and everyone knows Reanimator Glarb is best Glarb.
Okay.
But yeah, it's essentially just kind of like a grindy 5-color list, where the commander gives you
lands,
access to it's not nothing too crazy, nothing too overboard. You get to do some like Lotus Field is in here. So you can like ritual stuff like that really easy. But for the most part, you're just trying to get a couple value engines out. And then you're accruing value in ways that's really, really difficult for your opponents to remove. Like Culling Ritual doesn't do anything. Like, sure, it can get rid of your exploration, but you're still going to have the 5 lands you played off it anyways. Or you get these pieces like Corvold, where once you land them on the battlefield, basically anything you do is progressing your board state.
Wow. Yep.
So I'm really interested to see how this plays. Super duper thankful to I've definitely like talked with Kyle about random stuff, but getting to pick his brain on building a deck list was really, really fun.
I think you could just build like, you know how Najeela has like the no bad cards?
Yeah.
You could probably do that with this.
Yeah,
it'd be fine. It'd be fine.
The thing,
like, Najeela doesn't offer a whole lot most of the time.
Really not.
Not this, like, I know you're just playing Najeela now, but like my experience with the deck, because I played it a bunch, while I do enjoy it, usually I just default to like, oh, I found Breach. Oh, I found Thassa's Oracle. Oh, I found,
have you seen my all bad cards Najeela yet?
No.
There's no Derevi. There's no Grim Hireling. It's literally just like exclusively a Breach. There's no Smothering Tithe. It's just a Breach list. And the only reason Najeela is the commander is because you can Flare of Duplication her, or sacrifice the token she creates, like a Diabolic Intent or like Besiege Samir.
Oh.
And so I think one,
or you like run Facebreaker and stuff, right?
No, I'm not even on Facebreaker.
Wow.
It's literally like all I'm trying to do is resolve
it. Seems like a
mess. I've won 6 out of the 7 games I've played with it.
Wow.
But
is it because of Najeela?
It is because it is a 5-color dedicated Nas deck. And I don't think we've seen dedicated Nas decks do well in a while. So when you play Najeela, I think people are waiting for like the Emil to hit the table.
Or you mean Derevi?
Yeah, him too. Okay. I don't think it's gonna keep doing that well, but
hey,
I think that like
if you want to prove Eric wrong, play in the league.
Definitely. Please prove me wrong. I need to be stopped. No, I think that like Rograk proves that having a really, really cheap commander is good, and so the fact that you
is 3 mana really, really cheap?
3 mana isn't super cheap. I think 2 mana is kind of cheap.
Yeah,
especially if one of it's green, so you can cast it off of most dorks. Like the fact that you can be on Deflecting, Swat, Fierce, and that you can sacrifice the commander to Flare of Denial. I all think are pretty good reasons. Do I think that like, watch out, Kenrith and Sisay Enjoyers? I don't know. I don't think that like
but like
I don't think this is gonna break the meta.
You can't run a no bad cards Kenrith. You cannot run a no bad cards Sisay.
Yeah, it's really difficult to run
okay, so by no bad cards we mean just run 5-color legitimate good stuff. No other, like, maybe you have 1 or 2 cards that are like
Clam Chowder Sisay is definitely a real thing. That Jason actually has a list together that's going pretty well. People are moving towards Nas.
Sure, good, as they should.
I think it is better now than it was a month or two ago. Not that there was any big card that cracked it open.
As cEDH players and tournament grinders, we're going through various stages of grief from the bans.
Yeah.
So like as we start to realize and shift that like, hey, we kind of need to win games, those more proactive pieces are going back in.
Yeah.
And we just saw a deck in Dargo Timna win with Pure Into the Abyss.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, I mean,
Mardu is a super proactive color, and I think that as games continue to go longer and longer and more games are coming to draws, players want to play shorter games and they want to win them. Yep. And so that's why I'm mostly attracted to this commander, because I think it offers some fun ways to play. But I'm expecting a lot more people to be on Najila and Sisse, kind of 5-color good stuff with a turbo bent in the next 2 tournaments.
I wish they had a cleaner version of this card. I wish it was just lands you control and are untapped, and then like no other text.
Yeah. Like literally nothing else on it does anything.
Well, it's not in our format.
Not in our format. It gives it the Woober color identity, and for that I'm grateful.
There's other ways you could.
There are other ways to do that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's super interesting. I'm sure we'll see some tournament results with it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to actually get some games with it tomorrow night, so we can see how it goes.
Oh, this is a nice giant Reddit advertisement.
Whoa, heck yeah!
Moisturize your face, dude.
Right now.
So let's talk about this thread. Can someone explain something? Why is Trickbind not used more? Or Stifle, for that matter? I understand they're situational, but those situations show up a lot, at least in games that I've seen. I mean, Swan Song, Flusterstorm, Mental Misstep are all viable, but none of them stop Thassa's Oracle, and only Swan Song stops Underworld Breach. So what's the difference?
Yeah, I think it is...
question.
Oh, yeah.
Clarifying question. Does Trickbind or Stifle stop Underworld Breach?
I don't think so. I think the new one that
we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But those two cards.
I don't think so.
Underworld Breach doesn't have a trigger.
Yeah, because I guess escaping something is just an alternate cost. It's not a. No, it really doesn't.
So yeah, that's kind of a. Anyway,
you could hit the storm trigger on a brain freeze, but then you just recast the brain freeze.
Yeah.
So I guess that's part of why. Is it like I feel like Trickbind and Stifle are very good at the end of someone's combo. I mean, sure, I guess that like if someone goes to like tap like a rock while they have Kinnan out, you can Trickbind that shit, but.
Okay, they stopped making one extra mana for a second.
Yeah, instead of them making a blue mana, you paid a blue mana.
Yeah.
But I think for me that's my first suspicion is that Trickbind and Stifle, their use cases are incredibly potent, and oftentimes what makes them really strong is they're unexpected, and that's because by the time that someone has resolved a Thassa's Oracle and they're on the ETB and they don't have a library, you probably have fought through everything else.
Mm-hmm. And also just the narrower that cards are, the worse they are. And there's really no way around it. If there's a million ways to stop Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation. If you're new to cEDH, you are tired of Thassa's and Demonic because you don't see it coming and you go, crap, I didn't hold up any interaction.
Again, yeah.
Or it's just, I'm tired of losing this stupid combo. But I don't know when the last time I lost it. Like, I didn't lose to it in the tournament at all. I always lost to like Fairy Mastermind or I accidentally decked myself in the top 16 game and like I died.
Why is Fairy Mastermind like one of the best win conditions in the game? No. Yeah. Well, actually, I think that's actually relevant to this discussion because it's not a dedicated card slot. It's like, oh, I don't have it here so that I can win. You have it here so that I can win and so that I can draw cards. And you know, if you're in Timna, you can have a flyer for attacking it. It does.
It's just so flexible.
Does a ton of different things. And man, Trickbind is like anything but flexible. And if you really, really, really want those effects, I feel like people are probably more likely to slot like a curse totem in.
And that's not even that flexible.
Yeah.
Trickbind is interesting. And it is powerful. And I don't think that there's really any argument against those things. And you can say, well, I've cast Trickbind 30 times and it stopped me from losing 30 times. But then also, did you win those 30 games?
Yeah. That's a hard art. Like, what also if it was like a Git probe, right? Or like any of these, like,
sure. The metrics on like Git probe instead of Trickbind are impossible to track.
Yeah, like how do you measure that? You can't. Maybe cEDH TV knows a way. Uncertain. But
this is one of those things where I think you have to trust your gut, and if you don't have a gut instinct for whether a spell is good or not, ask players that are better than you, because they will tell you what you need to know. Maybe they can't always tell you why.
Yeah.
But I think for us, our reasoning is it's not that flexible. It's 2 mana, at least in Trickbind's case. It is powerful because it has split second, but it just kind of only does the one thing.
Yeah. Didn't we see Trickbind? Didn't Shauna play that, or was that Stifle? Because it was one of them, right?
I think she played Trickbind.
Trickbind, yeah.
But that's a low color list.
Low color shell.
Like 2 color list where you can go deeper into the counterspell suite. She plays hard control. I think she plays 59 instance or some stupid shit like that.
Yeah. It was interesting interviewing her because
her deck's not stupid. She's not stupid.
Yeah.
Playing 59 instance is kind of stupid.
And for her, that is a commitment to, and she would say this, like an obsessive commitment to a solitary game plan, which is Niv Mizzet and winning some way via that, which I think kind of lends to the argument of like that's not a very flexible game plan. But I mean, it does open the door to like play some of these cards, but not many decks can afford to be inflexible in that way. I think very few players are as skilled or as talented as Shauna, and very few lists are able to dig as deep into instance as Izzet.
Well, sure, and then there's also no context given in this question. Are we talking about Trickbind in Urza, a mono blue list? Or are we talking about Trickbind in Shauna's Izzet list, where it's 59 instance or however many there are? Or are we talking about Trickbind in Jason's blue farm list, where it'll never see the light of day? Like it'll never see play. It won't even see the sideboard because it's just not good enough.
Yeah, I don't think you can run these in 3 color shells. And oftentimes I imagine if you're in 1 or 2 colors, you might almost want Tishana's Tidebinder more than these. Because if you're willing to be holding up, like more than 0 mana to like interact with something, you want to be able to stop it more than once. I feel like a lot of triggered or activated abilities that are dangerous in cEDH are dangerous because they represent an infinite amount of triggered or activated abilities.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to just be able to hit it the first time. I want to be able to stop it semi-permanently.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think the first comment does a decent job of explaining this, but Swansong and Flusterstorm counters both Demonic Consultation and Tainted Pact. Misstep gets Consultation only, and they can also protect your win, which Stifle and Trickbind can't really do. They're kind of a counterspell type thing only, and not really defensive in any way.
Yeah.
So that is Trickbind's an okay card. It's 2 mana though. There's better things you could be doing for 2 mana.
What do you think would result in it seeing more play? Like what would have to change for
a better version of the card? Which we happen to have lined up here.
I saw I think someone in the comment section for Reddit referred to this as Italian man sacrifice. I think
it's French, but yeah,
Frenchman.
Really
No, you're right. It was Frenchman sacrifice. That's really funny.
Yeah.
I think this is a much more playable version of those.
It is, and that's because it's more flexible. While it might cost more, the decks that would play it are decks like Rograk or Yoshimaru decks, where you don't mind sacrificing the commander. It's just another way to sack the commander or utilize that extra piece that you have. This one says, as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a legendary creature or pay 2 generic. Counter target activated ability, triggered ability, or non-creature spell. And the fact that you can counter a non-creature spell at the end of that, it's crazy. It's really good.
The fact that you can like pitch a Lotho to also stop Underworld Breach, I think makes this a way more attractive card.
And while it doesn't sound appealing to many players, especially if you're new, let's remember that usually when an Underworld Breach resolves, you lose.
Yeah. And so like you're like, oh, well, if I have to like sacrifice my Tymna, then it turns off my Fierce Guardianship. Well, if this is in your hand and Fierce Guardianship isn't, sorry.
Yeah, or if Fierce Guardianship is in your hand, then you get to use that first, and then you get to use this after.
Yeah, lead with that. Wait for them to cast an offer you can't refuse. Use the treasures that it cast from that to pay for this. Like, I think this is going to be kind of very similar to Flusterstorm, where this is going to be the higher the stack gets, the more valuable this counterspell is going to get.
Or the more likely you are to see it. Because it's not going to be the one that you're going to use early if you have multiple.
I think this is going to get the same reaction as like Misdirection, where people are like, Force of Will, Force of Negation, Swan Song, Flusterstorm. What else could they possibly have?
Misdirection.
No! That does not stop my Veil of Summer, because they're redirecting like a red elemental blast. Dang.
So you've commented before on like, oh, if you're playing Logan's deck or playing against Logan's deck, there's probably another counterspell under that rock.
So much fun. Yeah.
There were 2 instances this weekend where I'll paraphrase the player, 2 different players. They basically said, how much interaction does this motherfucker have? One of them was Max, which is really funny. But I was just like, and then the other game was, it was so far past my turn. Like, if the clock is, if it's a clock, the table's a clock, I'm at 6 o'clock and the turn's over at like 12 o'clock, and it's not even close to coming around to me. And this player is pushing for a win. He's like, well, I have Silence, I have Veil Summer, and I have all this. And the player next to me goes, well, I have Pact. I can stop one of those. And he looks to me and he goes, do you have anything? I'm looking down and I have Double Tutor and 6 pieces. And I was like, yeah, I think I can stop him. And the guy goes, well, if you can stop me, he's like, do you have like 2 or 3 pieces? I'll take a draw. And I said, how about this? I'll show you 6 pieces in a tutor and we'll shake right now. We'll take a draw. And he's like, no way. And I'm like, yep. And I'm just like, bam, bam, bam. And he's like, dude, you got it. Like, we'll draw right here.
It's one of the things that I really like about Freedom Waffle's Kinnan list is that you get to dip into like Miscast, Dispel, Commandeer, Misdirection.
Yeah.
And you're sometimes like if you're playing Control, you can run out of like combo pieces and all you've got is counter spells and you're like, man, I can't do anything, but also neither can anyone else. But
yeah, it's like I can't do anything, but I'm also not losing. So
but I think what's fun about Wrong Side or this kind of like
no bad cards Kinnan.
Yeah, is that like you just run a ton of draw engines. And like what's really funny, Kinnan, is that like when you cast Dispel, you're also untapping your Birds of Paradise and your 5 Footcaller. So your counter spells are all rituals. Or what's really fun in Wrong Side is that if anyone tries to counter your counter spell, you're going to draw 4 cards off of it. And I think that is a space I'm trying to like lean into, is expecting this board state not to be like, oh, I'm resolving an ad nauseam and winning, but like I'm going to be in a game with like a stack 10 feet tall. What do I want to be doing in that situation? And I want to still have mana and still have cards. And I think that that's what really is kind of the deciding factor of like if decks can hang with the big boys in Top Cut right now.
And what are the 2 systems that you learn about when you start learning Magic? You learn about the mana system and you learn about drawing cards and using those cards.
It's really just that simple.
It sounds so dumb, but it really is that simple. If you have surplus mana and surplus cards, you're very likely to win the game if your card quality is high. If you're including cards like this, you can kind of maintain that high card quality depending on your deck. If you include cards like Trickbind or Stifle, then you're lowering that card quality, and the less likely that card's going to do anything for you. It's going to end up getting pitched to a Force of Will or Force of Negation or a Chromox, and then you're going to be like, well, it's fine. It doesn't, do anything. But that's not really what you want. Not in our format.
Yeah. Not right now.
Right now.
I'm sure there's a world where it could be good, but in the meantime, I'm probably going to add Frenchman's Sacrifice long before I add Trickbind.
Yeah, that's really funny. Anyway, this card we talked about last week with Austin, and then obviously we talked about it just now. This card is really cool. Hopefully we get to play test it soon. Oh, hi, Mr. Roger.
All right, another ad. Heck yeah.
This is our Boros cat, Roger.
What's up,
he
dude?
is actually named after Rograk because he's just an orange blur.
Man, this is such a pet friendly episode. This is
cool.
we're recording at the same time in the same place we always have.
We're gonna call it "Welcome to the Zoo" or something.
Welcome
like
to
that.
the zoo. This Redditor says opinion on kicking people while they're down. The body of their text says
way to break your foot.
those steel-toed boots. Let's say you can make a play on someone in a cEDH game who's behind to ensure that they stay behind. It's basically player removal. One less player to worry about. At the same time, those resources might be better spent on someone who's more threatening. I know the question itself is too generic and needs more context, but what are your general thoughts on this?
Is this a play pattern that you perform with any regularity?
No. I think this is a play pattern I encourage my opponents to make.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, you need to take him out before you get.
I'm not doing it, but you should.
Yeah. I mean, look, one of us is playing Ishai, so you do what you gotta do, bro. I'll salute you on the way down.
Yeah.
No, I think what's far more likely is I've been in a lot of games where like, OBM ping, OBM ping, OBM ping. And then you get to 10 life, and then now it's someone else's turn. Like, because cEDH is a dangerous game to take a player out too early.
Yeah, because then you're let me ask this question. Do you like playing in a 3-pod?
No. I hate playing in 3-pods.
Do you feel like the table's balanced or anything? Like it
No.
just doesn't work out.
It warps so many mechanics. It makes things so much more difficult to predict. And then also board states that result in me being able to take out one player as opposed to 3 players mean that there's going to be, oh, thank you for choosing me. There's going to be a window where they can get back in, and I do not have the political ability to like throw threat off my back because I literally just took a player out of the game.
Yeah. I don't think many people do, or really anyone does.
I think there are certain situations where I've seen a player like this close to a win, and the only thing stopping them is a permanent on another player's board. But then, right, you're taking one player out in order to then immediately win the game, which I don't think is the context that this Redditor is asking us to imagine.
Yeah, I think in situations like this where we see a question posed, we need to just take it at its most general and give back with the same amount of general, like, generally speaking, no, like, don't do this because you're unbalancing the table. It's harder to predict what comes if somebody just jams you might be opening a window for a turbo win because you took out a player that is playing control.
Yeah.
And while it's hard for you to play through that control as well, it's more on you to find a window and create your own window than it is to just be like, oh, well, now I'm in a 1v1. I don't have, like, and sometimes that happens, but but like recognizing that as a player and like, it just doesn't come up very often.
Yeah, in fact, and this is something I would want to like submit to the community because I don't know if this is correct or if this is just something that makes sense to me because of what's up, little Cheeto dust boy. I actually far more often find myself in positions where I'm trying to keep people in the game.
Yes.
If I see someone pinging your life total down, and I will literally be like, dude, you need to start hitting my life total, because even if I'm in a position to like win, it's not guaranteed, and I have spent so much more time practicing in like a 4-player pod. I think when you start
I think a better example of this that you and I often use is the draw engine thing.
Oh yeah, that's a way better example. Yeah.
We were just talking about this earlier as well. In the tournament, there was a player, I was third seat, control player playing Tivit, plays land, passes, another player plays turn 1 versus 6 study.
This is a really good example. Yeah.
Gets swan songed, And I was like, hey, you shouldn't do that. And he's like, why? I'm just going to take him out so he doesn't have a draw engine. And I said, I'm going to play a draw engine. This other guy's going to play a draw engine. And he's like, no, I need to. And and both of them were like, okay, like fine. And so anyway, he gets swan songed. And then I play a turn 2 study. The player next to me in 4th seed plays a turn 2 study. The Tivit player just plays an Esper Sentinel. We all draw off of it.
Poor guy.
And then the player who got their study swan songed finds a clever impersonator and has a study. So like we're back to square one essentially, where you could have played that Esper Sentinel on turn 1 instead of in like you'd have had more cards and stuff like that. My God, is he's just tucking his head in.
Yeah. I don't deserve this.
So I think it's just like the concept of taking someone out of the game the decks are built in such a way where it's not really possible. Unless you're actually killing someone, and then if you kill someone, you kill, their life total becomes 0. Yes, they're out of the game, but then they're also not contributing anything.
Oh yeah, you better be the biggest, baddest guy at that table if you can only take one player out. And
then if I'm the person dying, I'm going, are you sure you have the answers?
Yeah.
To stop these other players?
Yeah,
because I do. Or I can try.
Another situation that I find myself in a lot is trying to emotionally keep players in the game.
Yes.
If I'm in like a 2-hour game and someone, for lack of a better term, blew their load like 30 minutes in, and they're sitting there, they're bored. Whenever like it comes to their term of priority, and they go, "Oh, I'm F6, guys, come on." I need you to still be an invested and active player in this game. It almost reminds me of like solo queuing in a MOBA.
Yeah.
Like if your jungler starts to like tilt, sorry buddy, you don't get to tilt this game. Like I am dragging you across the finish line.
I am dragging you, kicking and screaming right to the Nexus. Like we're winning.
Yeah.
We're going to Dragon. We're getting Dragon immediately.
I will like I've been known to legitimately have like heart-to-heart conversations with people where like, I know we haven't seen your Thassa's Oracle. We haven't seen your Decon. I'm not saying you're a threat. I'm not saying I need to be worried about you. I'm saying you need to like focus up because you are not out of this game.
Yeah.
Now counter this breach.
Get in there.
Get in there. I just think it's like, because I think that's
a Sisyphean effort to get players who are either mentally or emotionally checked out to like, stay in the game. But I think it's worthwhile. Usually worthwhile.
I think that is something that is one of the ways, like you said, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy, but I have often seen it like pay the dividends of like overall improving the quality of games. And yeah, I
think it reflects well on you as a player too, because should that player win or they don't win or the game doesn't turn out the way they expect, and they say, well, thanks for, keeping me in the game or keeping me engaged and stuff like that. I think it's a morally correct thing to do as well.
And it's not just out of like kindness, like I don't want people to have a bad time. Like when people are frustrated and tilting, they become very unpredictable and really difficult to reason with. And
or impossible to reason.
And based off of how poor my fundamentals are, reasoning with people is kind of all I've got. So if you start tilting, I'm that many counter spells down because I am also a really bad deck builder. So
that's not true.
Thank you for saying that. Roger might disagree. He's purring so much. But yeah, that I think is actually an avenue where, while I have been known to like cast spells to draw people cards or like, I'll wheel so that we can kind of like resetting everyone back in it, I think I'm far more likely to like if your Underworld Breach gets besaged and you're just like in the dumps, I'll like show you a card and say like, I need your help understanding what I'm supposed to do. Can you like work with me to stop this other player, or any of other ways to try and like get you to buy back into the game? And I'm not gonna like lie to you and be like, oh, you've definitely got what it takes to beat all of us with 0 cards in hand or permanents. But
I think there's a difference between checking out or being F6 at like a casual CEDH game night, just hanging out with friends and talking and be like, guys, I don't have anything. And then also being in round 6 and you're winning in and going, guys, I'm F6, I don't have anything. Like, I would never say that.
Never. Literally never. I mean, we joke about this all the time. I am like never politicking or threatening counterspells more than when I have 5 lands in hand and nothing else. Like, because at that point, like politicking and socially interacting with the table is literally all you've got. If there's money on the line, if there's top deck points, I refuse to say I am out of this game. I may say it as a ploy.
Dude, if there's pocket Lin on the line, I'm doing that. Like, we've talked about, like, if there's any amount of prize or light at the end of the tunnel or anything, any way to be competitive, it's there. Just be careful what you say and how you say it, and sometimes you don't have it, and that's okay. But to the same extent, taking out players and going, oh, this is my path to victories. I'm going to take you out one by one in my stacks, my win con list stacks deck. Like, sure, maybe that works sometimes, but it's probably not the ultimate path to victory.
Yeah, there definitely are going to be times where even though you're against 3 players, there's only 1 player who is between you and the finish line. But unless I am like this close, I'm going to be very, very cautious about taking a player out.
There's been times where on someone else's end step, I've killed them with something, and then I untap, and there's only now 2 players I have to deal with. And sometimes that helps. But just going, oh, I'm going to kill a player and hopefully it works out. That's happened to me in a tournament before, and Emily will tell you this. I was playing Krark Ishai, and I was going through a non-deterministic line with Krark where I cast Gut Shot and Grape Shot over and over again. And I killed her, and then unfortunately rolled all positives or rolled all heads.
Whoa.
On like a quad flip with Krark. And then the spell Resolve didn't come back to my hand, and I had to pass the turn, and now I had 2 other players, and she's dead, and she's like, what the hell, bro? Like, you don't want to end up in situations like that, because then now the other 2 players are like, oh, my window is wide open because there's a blue player that doesn't exist anymore.
We were I was actually talking with some other people about that, of like some of the scariest pods for me are ones where there's no blue, because you think like, oh, I'm like free, there's no interaction, and then the Mardu player has a Bolas Citadel on turn 2 and no one can do anything about it. So yeah, I think I would definitely caution, and I think this is the spirit of the question they're asking, like, do you think there's a lot of situations where you should take one player out? I don't particularly think so, but I am sure, whether it's people who play in our league or in tournaments that we've been to or just your local LGSs, if you guys find that there are common situations that you think it's correct to take a player out, I would love to hear about them.
I think that the top comment really does sum it up. Killing a player also means there's one less suite of counterspells to stop your opponents from winning. And that's true.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are true, this card's pretty good.
Yeah, I love this card so dearly. Kitsa is so precious to my little beagle heart. But also, I think this is a great example of if you watch this episode, they're going to say a lot of things about Kitsa that are negative, and I agree with all of them.
I do, but I think the thing I took away from this was they're looking at the card sort of holistically and not as much in context of whatever deck it might be going in. So I tested this card a lot in Glarb. It felt okay. Glarb is not like that good of a dramatic reversal deck, and I don't even think they really talked about dramatic reversal much in this episode.
They talked about it a little bit. A list that I saw this doing really, really well was back when me and you were on the Wasteful Artistry rock. That was really, really nice, having the ability to kind of not rummage, it's loot when you draw and then discard.
That is correct.
And then also the 2-mana ability. I've been in so many situations where like you're paying 2 mana to have another Adnaz or another wheel. And then also they did talk about this a lot. I loved this card, probably too much, but I loved this card in Rograk Thrasios as well.
I think I don't know if I can get the comments here. Jason left a comment. Here it is. He said, every time I go through the proxy box at Logan's house, there's no Kitsas left because Eric and Logan put them in every deck.
Oh, man.
That's not true. First of all,
slander. I put it in almost every deck. I
think they're gone because of you, not because of me.
Yeah, probably. I am a sucker for a card that is kind of good in a lot of situations.
I'm looking for ways right now to make wrong side leaner and faster, and everyone's going to roll their eyes and they're going to go play Nas and Necro. That's not what I mean. I want to make I like the deck archetype the way it is. I think actually Kitsa and Dragon's Rage Channeler would help out a lot with that. So I'm kind of looking for spots to put that in. I think Notion Thief is probably going to come out for Kitsa for a little bit. I'm going to test it because looking back on my games and my sort of emotional heuristics about how the deck works and thinking about like the stacks and stuff, not stacks with an X, stacks, as in, stacks of spells. And thinking about how those works, it was like, damn, if I had a Kitsa there, I had 2 colorless mana or whatever, I could have doubled up on a counter spell, or I could have doubled up on a Flare of Duplication, or just something to help me turn that corner extra easier, like, in an easier way.
Absolutely. Maybe it's because we play in Denver too much, but like when I imagine decks and playing them, I'm not like, looking at like, 7 cards and how can I turbo out a win. I'm imagining where like we're an hour and a half in and I'm really tired and I am trying to like find anything to get me 1 counter spell up on my opponents. And so I think in a flash meta where you're really, really likely to have Valley Floodcaller out, something that lets you dig a little bit deeper, something that gives you access.
It resets on Floodcaller cast.
It's so nice.
And there's so many times where I have lands in hand that they can just go to Yard and they can help out with Breach later. And then I think there's like kind of how you said, I'm thinking about the top 16 games or those extra hard games where I need every little tiny minor value piece that I can get. This is 2 mana. It's like nothing.
Yeah. I definitely can see how this would be. I can definitely see how it would be bad in a dedicated turbo list. And then also if you're in a 4+ color kind of like good stuff list, you might not have room for it. Yeah. I think I like this in 2 to 3 color like grindy mid-range shells.
Yep.
And that's because God, I am a sucker for anything that lets me draw cards. And I like the added utility of being able to copy instants or sorceries, as well as like, as silly as it sounds, it lets my Mox Amber tap for blue. And
it does.
That's really, really nice.
I've been casting Silas. Like I cast Silas multiple times this weekend and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, don't mind that I have Flare of Denial and also Mox Amber taps for every color now.
I also think the one area I actually would disagree with the Taxi Guys cards is this is a card that also allows me to way more comfortably mulligan down to 3.
Yeah. It's a mulligan fixer. It was that way in Glarb when I was running it.
And that was one thing that y'all talked about is, and I think both playing against your Glarb and playing it a few times has let me know that while I don't think card selection, I don't think I would take it over card draw, I definitely want both if I can get it. And if I go down to 3, like I need card selection more than ever. Like to be able to turn a land into a Vampiric Tutor is like, that's literally taking me from being not in the game to being one of the biggest potential threats at the table.
Sure. And just looking at this card, if this card were released 10 years ago, everyone would be collectively freaking the fuck out.
Oh yeah,
this card is nuts.
Yeah, something that's I think really funny about
the weakest part of it is that it's a legend.
Yeah. Oh wow. Dude. If you could have multiple of these, if it was like that red otter that whenever you cast
yeah. So I mean, it's just the card is hilariously powerful. Whether that power level like kind of applies to our format or not is kind of the part that's in question. And yeah, the prowess probably doesn't matter. The draw a card and discard a card. I like that you said the card selection, having that is really nice. The difference between this and Ledger Shredder is that Ledger Shredder, you can't control when it happens. This you can, and that's a huge upgrade.
Yeah, I think, I don't know what it is about us, but we are just fucking addicted to twiddle effects. Like I use this in a game to kill a Kinnen's Bloom Tender in their upkeep, right? Because you're drawing a card, right? All sorts of. I am addicted to cards.
Yeah, if someone has an OBM, first of all, they're not killing this thing because it's a 1/3.
Yeah, it's, and it's just gonna keep getting.
And
bigger.
we're like, hey, I can draw a card and discard a card, but like I need you to shoot something with the OBM.
Mm-hmm. I something about like 3 B- effects being stapled to something. I'm like, yes,
but they're not B- effects. Like they're really strong. Oh, the other reason I want to play it, I'm already on Reversal.
Oh heck yeah, yeah.
Reversal's really good.
Reversal is such a good ritual right now.
I had in the top 16 game, I had a Reversal on the stack, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, we're losing!" Like, yeah. And then if I had Kitsa, I'm like, "Okay, well, yeah, the Reversal's on the stack. You're gonna counter it." And then, oh, by the way, here's another copy of Reversal.
And it's not casting stuff, and it's just a lot of little stuff I like about it. But also, I very much agree with them that I don't think I would say that this is like a staple. And I can, in the same way that I can see this fitting in a lot of decks that I have that I really, really like, I can totally see why a lot of other decks do not want this and why it would reduce their overall card quality. I like it.
Do you think there's a world where Kinnan runs this card?
Dude, I've thought about it.
Like a no bad cards list Kinnan?
Yeah. It does a lot.
I would hate flipping into it and like spending 7 mana for a Kitsa.
It would be a really bad flip.
It's also the same cost as Kinnan.
It is
kind of
hard. The 2 mana slot in Kinnan is a very, very precious slot because that's also the same cost of a lot of your rocks.
At least it's not blue green.
It's not. No.
So if you tap a rock for double blue, you can just cast. Kitsa.
And it also gives you something to do if you like have a ton of colorless mana. This also Seedborns really, really well. And Kinnan also carries.
Oh boy, is it
considering it's a creature combo deck? Kinnan almost always has one instant or sorcery that they really, really, really want to resolve. As for me,
Roger didn't like that.
Sorry, buddy.
He doesn't like the Kinnan talk.
In Copycat Kinnan, I have cut Nezahal, and I think that if I put Kitsa in over Nezahal, I would never be allowed in any Simic Discord. So we'll see. I think I am predisposed to like this card.
All this to say, another good episode from That's a Good Card podcast.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to hanging out with those guys soon. I think Kyle will be in town this weekend. So I'm so excited. Super excited.
It's going to be so much fun.
A couple other cards I just want to talk about really quickly as we close up our episode here. Fire Covenant.
This is a card I don't know if I've ever seen you cast, but whenever I'm hearing you talk to people about their lists, all the time I'm hearing you go like, have you thought about Fire Covenant?
Yeah, it's really close to being in wrong side. It's just an instant speed board wipe. And like that's really freaking
that's
good.
Really so the reason you can't put it in wrong side though is because then
you're blue.
Then you're gonna use your life total for something.
Yeah. I'm not on Nas, I'm not on Necro, I'm not on Fire Covenant, I'm not on Toxic Deluge. I'm like, I'm not what laundry list of things can I go down to to not use my life total?
No, it's the amount of times that there is like a creature, like you're either going into a turn where someone has a Grand Abolisher on the field, or a Kinnan or a Rog Thras or a TNT is doing something with a creature, and it's not on the stack. They cast it on turn 1, and now it's turn 4, and it's a really, really big problem. And someone casts a Fire Covenant, and I'm like, praise God for you.
The couple things we need to consider about this card. First of all, you can deal, if you pay 20 life into this, you can deal 20 damage to any number of targets.
Oh, that's so nice.
Target creatures, that is.
Yeah, you can't kill people with it.
That would be really cool.
That'd be wild.
That card would be way broken.
It would be like a better Aetherflex.
Anyway, the interesting thing about this is that it totally hoses Rog Thras and Yoshi Thras. And any Cradle maxing deck. The other interesting thing is we have a lot of really powerful low to the ground creature commanders that are coming up. We just talked about 1/5 color one. We've talked about VV before. And this seems like a good solution to have in case of emergency against those decks.
Yeah, I think OBM has been around long enough that it has set the pace for what creatures are safe to cast, right? You know, for instance, a lot of people cut Bloom Tender because it's super duper easy to kill. But you know, Fabro Elder, even though it's harder to cast, is much safer to plan on comboing around, because it is so difficult to kill with like an OBM. And I feel like a Fire Covenant helps you kind of bridge that gap, and lets you dig just a little bit deeper than your opponents are expecting, and lets you kind of dominate a deck building space that they're just not ready for.
I'll kill a Fabro for 5 life, like. I mean, or however much it costs.
I will pay 5 life to not lose the game literally any day.
Right. Or to kill a Nyx Bloom Ancient at instant speed. You know, something like that. It's just, the card's really good. I think I'm coping a little bit by not running it. Like, I could probably cut like Misdirection or something to run this. I'm running 0 board wipes right now. And I've been talking about Rogsai a lot, or Wrongsai a lot. But
we're not big board wipe guys.
No, but this is one that should probably start to see play. It just feels good.
I'm interested to see where board wipes end up being, because as games are speeding up a little, I don't know if Rogthrast is going to have as much of a ramp as it needs. And so I'm really interested to, you know, like put a pin and revisit like a month from now or 2 months from now, and evaluating how many board wipes are in decks at the top deck championship.
The other thing is, in the past we've seen Opposition Agent a ton to be that sort of silver bullet against the heavy tutor decks like Blue Farm. These other decks like Rogthrast are not tutoring nearly as much. So I could easily see a world in which, if you're already running Oppo, perhaps consider slotting out that and start running Fire Covenant. It's relatively the same casting cost. You're probably in red already because you might be playing Blue Farm or Rogsai or whatever. And then, I mean, I think it's just really good. And it does get hurt by deflecting SWAT a ton.
Well, kinda. Can't you just target something twice?
What do you mean?
Among any number of targets. So if I like target it once,
if you swat it, you can target whatever.
Okay. So if I like target it twice, you can hit both those targets with a deflecting SWAT.
Deflecting SWAT says you can change the targets of the spell.
You
have to keep the same number of targets, but you can change them to anything. And this doesn't say opponent's creatures. This just says creatures.
Oh yeah, because you can deflecting SWAT a Mind Break trap to hit. Okay, yep, gotcha.
I think you have to keep the numbers of damage the same. Okay. So if you target like 2, 3, 4, you'd have to target 3 different targets for 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the chat or in the in the comments. But yeah, that is kind of like the one downside of this is it can get swatted. But the one huge upside is that it's an instant, and Toxic Deluge hits all your shit. Yeah, that's not an instant. People aren't really playing that anymore.
Yeah,
I've seen Supreme Verdict. That's uncounterable. That's really cool. But also, people aren't really playing that right now, and it's 4 mana.
And it's a sorcery, right?
And it's a sorcery.
I think low-key, the fact that it's an instant means it says cannot be countered half of the time.
Either that or it starts a counterspell war, which is usually what the decks want. That if you're playing this, like if you're playing Blue Farm and you've got a Heuristic Study in the field, you want nothing more than a counterspell war. Like, oh sure, start warring over this, and I can't protect it. I need you to protect it.
Yeah,
start casting. I really like this card. I think I'm going to start playing it some more. What do you think?
I don't think I have any decks right now that it would be good in.
Nagila.
I don't think this is a good dedicated turret. Well, is it? I guess it hits Aethersworn Canonist.
I mean, it is a good silver bullet for those creature stacks pieces, right?
I do
just handle all of them at once.
And I do love it. Just so versatile. I think it's kind of like, it's just, for instance, you talk about like Opposition Agent. I've 100% been in games where like, if you've got an Opposition Agent, I want to defend it because I'm playing a deck that doesn't care.
You know what's better than oppoing a Sisay? Killing Sisay and everything else on their board.
Yeah. I think that like if I had a Blue Farm list together, I would be incorrect for not running this. If I was in a Grixis shell, I also would probably be incorrect for running this.
For running it or not running it?
For not running it. Okay. I think that like it is a good example that I tend to rely on politics more than I should, and that I don't run this card.
We need to start running answers, I think.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like a eat your veggies card.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. And last one, Freed from the Real.
Freed from the Real.
I don't know anything about this card.
You can get it off of transmuting Drift of Phantasms.
Okay.
Right? I think that's what it's called.
Can you tell me anything good about this card?
It goes infinite really fast.
Sure, it goes infinite with like what, Bloom Tender and stuff like that?
Bloom Tender, Fey Burrow, or like if you have Kinnan and like Enduring Vitality out.
But it's like 4 mana infinite, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to make double blue, essentially. Yeah. It seems all right.
I think this is a Make 'em Have It card. Right?
Okay.
Because you typically want this in Simic Plus shells, which are well known for their ability to tutor for enchantments. I'm always thinking.
What he's saying is they can't.
Also, it has to target something on entry, like enchant creature. So it is super duper deflecting swattable, or like, oh, I don't have a Swan Song, but I do have a Deadly Rollick. Zap. It's very, very stoppable. But also, like, if you're in Kinnan, you can get it out really, really fast, and you can just get access to infinite colored mana crazy quick.
Okay.
So I think that would be like, it also, in a flash meta, the fact that it's an enchantment isn't as big of a deal. It doesn't involve casting as many things as like a Banishing Knack line might. I don't think I want this card, because I think I would prefer something that's a little bit more versatile. For instance, I more than often use like Retraction Helix to like bounce like breaches or things like that.
Yeah.
But if I was looking to just like go, and I was willing to be a little bit greedier on my card choices, I could see putting this in.
So what you're saying is we need a Kinnan list with Kitsa and Freed from the Real.
Yeah, I can, after I generate infinite mana, I can infinitely loot through my deck.
And then what? I don't know. I'll probably just just kill myself. I'll deck myself.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen this card cast a bunch in our local meta.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a subset of players that are running it, and I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit higher cost than what I want or what I'm looking for in a lot of my decks.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's pretty easy to interact with. You can swat it. You can Deadly Rollick. You can OBM the target. You can,
I spell scattered it in a game.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep. I mean, the thing though is I don't control the enchantment, so I can't like use it. But yeah, because I think there was
that's kind of sick,
a loot player who was casting it. I was
like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a really good point though. Like if you're running a commander in like loot, for example, yeah, you play this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's A plus B, right?
Yeah. I think
is that correct? Is it A plus B with loot? Or is there another like C, like a lowercase c that you need to make this work?
If you're on loot, you're probably on Bloom Tender, which means you're doing this to get infinite.
But loot taps for mana, right?
Once, because it exhausts.
Oh.
No, I think actually, because that reminds you that the loot player is also a Sisse player who I think runs this in some of their list. I think this is another good example of like I think you can also put this card in list if you want to have more commander agnostic play patterns, which I do think is a really important thing for decks to be able to do. Kind of going back to that, like trying to keep players in the game. I've been in like tons of games where like an Urza High Lord Artificer like gets
Lord
countered.
High Artificer,
and they're like, well, I guess I'm out of the game, and I'm like, you're in mono blue and you're out of the game. It's turn 2, bro. Like, at least play like Mishra's Bauble or something.
I think this reads as an old school CEDH card, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I think there's a lot of decks that could play it. Probably TNT and stuff like that can play it just fine. That's interesting.
I think this card would be way, way, way more playable if you didn't have to enchant a creature and it just said tap creature on tap creature.
Well, it would almost certainly be broken if it if that were the case.
Yeah.
I think a smaller thing that this would make this a lot more playable is if it had flash.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because the other one is what, Penman's Aura, and I don't think that is flash either.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I think it is. I bet if you go, we're on Scryfall, right? I bet if you go to the Scryfall Tagger, it'll have the little squiggly lines.
Yep.
Yeah, if you scroll down,
we're going on a journey together.
Oh no, it has Second Wind. What's that? Thinking about Second Wind. This is, if you guys don't know what Scryfall Tagger is, you have to
tap or enchant, or tap enchanted, or ooh, that's interesting.
Oh, you tap the enchantment to untap. That's weird.
Yeah. Anyway,
that did not have Penman's Aura on it, but it did have. I talk to people about this all the time. You put me on a Scryfall Tagger if
it solves a ton of problems.
Yeah, this would actually probably be a good way to close out if you want to go back to Scryfall Tagger.
Yep.
Underneath artwork, if you want to see cards that have katana or blue
dress,
female, you can have card types, and this is incredible. Like the amount of times I've gone and looked at like utility land or repeatable card draw or all sorts of like random specific effects, and just scrolled. This is like super duper nice. And oftentimes, even if I don't find a good, even if it doesn't result in me finding a card, it lets me kind of maintain that like brewer's headspace of trying to like think of all the things that are within the domain of what I'm trying to do.
Right. And, this card led me to a Photo Alchemist, which is one of my favorite cards. It says tap or untap, or untap target artifact or creature. And that doesn't seem like it does a whole lot. But if you look down and you go, wow, this card reminds me of something, and you look at this tag, it says better than. You click on Vodalian Soldiers, and it's just like, oh, it has the exact same stat line and casting cost, and this is vanilla.
Yeah.
So why would you run Vodalian Soldiers in whatever archetype or format you're playing? You can run a Photo Alchemist. The Scryfall Tagger is part of being if you're starting to brew in an advanced manner and you're starting to really look for these unique cards, it's a really good way to do it.
Mm-hmm. I prefer doing this to when I'm on Moxfield doing EDH rec and any ton of random stuff.
Yeah, sometimes EDH rec I just use to fill in the gaps of I'm a numbskull and I forgot this dual land or something.
Yeah, sometimes I'll do Mana Vault, Tropical Island, Ristic Study, so the Moxfields know I want at least 60 cards that a basic bitch would put in.
Yeah.
And then after that, then I'll go to Scryfall Tagger, because sometimes I just can't be bothered to try and remember what all the fetch lands are. But then once you're in the last 15 or 20 cards, this I think is a good way to just help you expand your horizons on the potential card pool, because often, right, if you're trying to find a card that no one's seen in 15 years, you are probably dipping way too low in card quality, but it does, I just think, let you see the range of what's possible and the effect that you're looking for.
Yep.
Or even with Banishing Knack, sometimes there's a card that does literally the exact same thing, and being able to put two of the same card in a singleton format.
You want to run both.
Yeah, that fucking rules, bro.
All right. So we've gone over the cards. We've gone over the events of the past week. What do we have coming up?
We're both kind of be testing some stuff. We're hoping to record some footage with some other YouTube personalities.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
it's going to be this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll probably be at Locals. At least I will be at Locals on Saturday. Let's see what else we got. We have Mortal Kombat coming up.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the big one.
The big one.
I think over the next 2 weeks, all roads for us lead to Mortal Kombat via Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, and getting some rest after traveling.
Yeah, trying to get as many hours of sleep as possible.
You've seen some of the pictures that we posted from Freedom Waffle, and we'll be posting more from some of the other events we've been in. You'll see some gameplay that we recorded there at Land Go, and all this stuff coming out soon. I want everyone to leave from this video and realize that tournaments are fun to play in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good place to meet people, or to meet old friends, or meet your play group and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're competing in a healthy way to win the game, win the tournament. And if you don't get there, that's okay. You're building experience and you're trying to take all this in and learn for next time. And maybe you'll find out what doesn't work in your deck, or maybe you'll find out your deck doesn't work at all and you need to play a different deck.
Yeah, that's
Who knows?
Love going to tournaments. Think they're incredible. It's like I think getting into Magic over the last year or so has been some of the most satisfaction I've had from like a hobby across so many different avenues. But that hasn't insulated me from having bad experiences. And so if you've gone to a tournament and you've had those bad experiences, I would highly encourage you to kind of like dig into that and just like Logan was saying, what were the specific aspects? You know, I just felt like I was behind in every single game. Maybe don't play Naya, or I felt like I was getting like politicked constantly.
Maybe invoke MTR 4.1 and tell have the judge tell them to shut up.
Yeah, and I'm a yapper through and through. Like I don't even yap about Magic. I don't even stop when I stop playing games. Like we record like 2-hour episodes on the weekly. Like if we're in a game, like you need to call a judge on players like me, and hopefully me or whoever you're calling it on will have the wherewithal afterwards to say like that's like the right move, maybe you just don't have anyone to go with, or you aren't connected with that kind of community that kind of like all goes to events. And to that, I would highly recommend.
Try to make connections with people. If you don't have people to go with, go to a tournament and try to talk to people. People want to play Magic and they want to talk to other people that play Magic.
Yeah,
I love meeting new people.
It's so nice. Jump in a Discord, jump in the comments, or there are other people like you who want to go to tournaments but feel like they can't because they don't know anybody.
Yeah,
buddy up.
If you're worried about having a bad time and that's what's stopping you from going to your first tournament, just go. Just go and try to have fun. And I think you'll be surprised at what comes your way. And maybe you'll have some bad experiences. Maybe you'll have some good experiences. But then you'll go, wow, I learned a lot from that. And like, here's how I can make my next one better. And that's what we're all trying to do.
That's what we're all trying to do. Yeah. So, I mean, thank you to the people who have helped us have really, really great tournament experiences.
And we hope that we're helping you all have good tournament experiences as well. And whether that's tournaments in person or in our league or at Mortal Kombat or at the Invitational that's coming up in a couple months.
Yeah. It's the when people enjoy playing Magic at tournaments, that's kind of a win for everybody. I think that's like a pretty good goal to have.
Yeah, and we've all seen the highest of the highs, and we're all chasing after that feeling. We're all chasing after that feeling where the game I described with 3 really tough players, and just walking away and saying, I played the best that I could, and because of it, I won. And I will be chasing that feeling for the next who knows how long. Just like I'm chasing after winning Snowy Summit.
Yeah. It's I think that there's always another goal or another milestone. And I think that like I've enjoyed that like journey, and I love that there's still so much to learn and do. And I definitely can see how that feeling of never being good enough or never getting to the place that you want to be could be really frustrating. I think for me, what's really helped me bridge that gap is friends or the community. And if you're in this place where you're like, God, I hate going to tournaments so much, or I want to go, but I feel like I'm just going to have a terrible time. I would really, really hope either that me and Logan or other people that we know can help walk alongside you in that journey of trying to grow and improve, and that we can all not only get better together, but have fun together.
Yeah, and some of the tournaments that I didn't do well were some of my favorite times.
Yeah.
I think there was one tournament, especially a local, where I think Eric and I both really did not do well at all. But we were just like chopping it up, like saying like, "Oh shit, we're losing now." That's crazy.
Yeah. If I'm 0-3, right, that third loss hits really, really hard. But then the next game, I don't know why, you're free from this pressure of going to Top Cut, but you're still in a tournament, and it's such a unique like liminal space that I've like never laughed harder or played sillier, and it's some of my favorite moments.
Sure. And yeah, I totally agree with you. But If there's any way we can help make your tournament experience better, namely, I would say stay offline, stay off Twitter, and stuff like that. But just start going and just look at the pictures that we posted from Freedom Waffle, or look at what he posted, and you'll see every single person has a smile on their face. Yeah, either that or they're like looking at their board and going, "How do I win?" Anyway, I think I think that's all for this week. Anything else?
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being a part of us in this journey in the league and all the things that we're doing. Thank you for you guys for making it happen, because it was just me and Logan. There would be 2 people in the league, and that would suck.
We did invent a new format.
Yeah. Thank you guys for allowing us and enabling us to do what we do, and hope to see you guys next episode.
All right. Bye.
Bye.